Alright, welcome back. So, today, got some glue, got some tires, got some holders. We're going to try to fix up these Gone Banana wheels so that I can use them for some speed rips. So, when I was at the hobby store looking for glue for foams, the guy there basically said, we don't have those type of glues. So I got regular tire glue, and I'm hoping that this is going to work. Anywhere I see it pulling out, I'm going to throw some glue on it. So I'm hoping that it's going to stay down. See, the backside of this is really coming up. Gotta be careful when it's sticking to my table. Wow, God, these things are coming up everywhere. So I should probably do one side. You can just hear it peeling away. Look at that. So, I'm going to do one side at a time since this one went so bad, where it stuck to the tire below it. So, all this is like a big rubber band. What it's going to do is it's going to keep it pressed against there. And we're going to let it dry that way. So, I'm going to do one side at a time. Probably do the back side of all of them. Probably pick the worst side. See, this one's pretty good except for when it starts to get right there. Seems like all of them are do is pull as hard as I can and then try to get it to release. And if there's too much excess, I wipe it off. do is put pressure on it to keep it stuck. And if you're wondering what those rubber bands are, J Concept tire gluing rubber bands. And they truly do help. So what I'm going to do before I glue them, I'm going to pull on them as hard as I can. Try to get them to come up as far as they're going to come up. It seems like it's the half of almost every tire. This one's pretty bad. So I try to get to the start, then I'll go up over and then into the hole. And these tips really do help with your tire gluing. It does get on my fingers every now and then. God, that's way down there. And then you can feel it rise back up. Just throwing a little extra around that. I'll strip the rubber band and put it on that edge, just to keep pressure on that edge, because you just don't want the foam tire coming up during that run, because if it does, you're guaranteed to crash. There we go. Once I'm done with these, then I'll flip them. You can hear it. This one's not too bad, but it's got some spots. It's like the glue is old or something. Even if it's not peeling up, I'm putting a little bead around it. See, now it's starting to peel up real good in this section. A little ridiculous. But I know a lot of the speed run guys do this. It's hard to trust your tires. We're going to let those set up. I'm going to get the cap put back on this. Usually these tips are no good after the first use. They'll just plug up. But I'll save it for a minute. Hopefully it won't dry before I need that tip again. If not, I think I have some more. So we'll be back when this stuff is dry. All right, back for round 2. And we're gonna see if we can still use this tip. Might be okay. I did trim off the tip. Now, they're not cracking. They're not pulling out. They're looking pretty good. So now I'm going to flip it. We're going to check the other side. Kind of ridiculous to pay all that money for tires and I have to buy glue and then do this. But if it's going to ensure that you're not going to rip a tire because the glue failed, it's definitely worth it. So this one did really well. What I'm going to do is the same thing. I'm going to put a bead all the way around the edge of the foam. It's not the prettiest, but when it's not pulling out, it's definitely worth adding a little extra glue to your bead just to make sure that it's not going to catch an edge and rip off. Some guys now do sand them, but what I've noticed is with this foam, it'll absorb some of this. So let's move this rubber band up just to make sure that we get the foam even pressure all the way around it, so it's not going to glue lopsided. Just by putting a little pressure on it, you'll be surprised how well that'll work. These tires feel really good. You can hear that cracked right there. Usually once it starts cracking, that's it. It's going to keep spreading. Like I said, I hope the centers have got a ton of glue on them. There we go. And then this one is the one I glued both sides already. So we're going to let those dry up. We're done gluing for these tires. And now I'm going to get to soldering. We'll be right back. All right. Getting ready for some soldering while the tires dry. Trying to get ready for tomorrow. So my tools of choice are these 3 sets of pliers. I've got the connectors. I've got some wire, which we're going to use to jump between the two. Which we don't need much, but some silicone wiring. So basically, it's going to go like this, and we're going to split this off. So I don't think we'll need more than this. Maybe even shorter. But I'll do it a little long. It's no big deal. Normally I'll go a little shorter with the wiring, just because I like to keep it compact. You know what I mean? I don't like to spread out the connectors too far. But that should be good. So I'm heating up the soldering gun right now. Throw this back in the bag. Some people just go buy wiring at Pep Boys, but I learned that their gauge wire is a little different than this silicone wiring. So we're going to go ahead and strip it back just a little. Get our solder ready. Get some flux. Soldering gun's almost there. we're going to grab one of the females because this should be male. So what I've learned is that you kind of want to stick these on now. Make sure you face them the right way. And this wire barely fits through an XT90 just because these are only 90 amp connectors. So here's the side we need, which is our ESC side. So the side I need is the male side. So what I'll do is I'll plug it in. I'll take my self-adjusting vice grips, put it on that side so I know I'm not soldering that side, I'm soldering this side. So soldering iron, tips clean. We're going to throw some solder on it on both sides. Right? And then I'm on the negative side right now, so we're going to add a little bit of heat, throw some of this in there to puddle this thing up. Normally I do the wire first, tin the wire first, right? Throw a little tin on that wire, then we're going to heat this thing back up. That was on the negative side. That's super hot right now. So this one we want on the positive side. This should be the positive side since we did the negative side on the other one. I always do the jumper first, that way I'm not confused. Positive to negative. Drop it in there. Start heating up the wire. Let it suck down into that. Once it sucks down in, we're going to let it go. And we're going to let it cool. There we go. So negative to positive. And then what you're left with is positive goes to positive, negative goes to negative. That way you can't mess it up from here on out. So, let's see. This one's the positive. So we're going to throw this in the positive line. Right? This one is our negative. So we're going to throw this through the negative line. There we go. So I am going to cut these off. Going to re-strip it to the size I need. This one's going to the negative. We're going to stick our wrench back on this. Negative side up. There we go. And then while it's hot, I try to snap on this end if I can. Sometimes it's too hot though. go. That's how we want it to plug in. I'm going to cut this one off like we did the other one. Now once it gets hot enough, you'll see it glaze over. There we go. That's it. We're going to let it cool a little bit. Clean my soldering tip. And then we're going to immediately turn off our soldering iron. That's how I do it. Now I'm going to get all these shards cleaned up, wipe off my table, get all these little metal things picked up, and we'll be right back. Alright, so I went ahead and got batteries put in. I had to update my Castle Link because I plugged in my Castle Link and it couldn't find this ESC. It basically said delete your Castle Link, go to Castle Link and read down the latest software, so I had to do all that. But I finally got in there. I got it tuned. I went ahead and had to reverse the rotation on the motor and set up my data logging, set up my braking, and set up my BEC, and that's it. So everything is working. I'm still on the Spectrum, of course. I haven't put in the Futaba yet. I'm just trying to check all the grub screws. Let me get these fans disconnected. I don't really need the fans hooked up. But I'm checking all the grub screws to make sure that they're not hitting anywhere. That I'm not hitting anything on the motor. Everything's looking okay. Steering seems to be okay. Tires should be all glued now. So we're going to get all the tires put back on. And then this thing's going to be ready to rip. I think I'm going to just rip it on the factory controller for now. Because my Futaba receiver I have, the signal's going to be just as poor until I can get the proper receiver. Because the ones I have are basher receivers. They don't have long antennas. So all my speed ones are already installed into all my other speed cars. And I tried to find one today and couldn't. Nobody seems to have any Futaba receivers. So I'm going to put some wheels under this thing. Get our ESC turned off. Get our remote turned off. And I'm going to get all these wheels put back on. They look like they're glued down pretty good now. Both front and rear. I was thinking about balancing them, but I think they're going to balance out on the first rip. This thing's got so much torque that I don't think it's really going to need anything. Now we still have to lower, which reminds me, I still have to lower the front a little bit so it doesn't hit the splitter in the front. I forgot about that. So let me crank this thing down a little bit. Because this was set up for the twin motor, and it's no longer a twin motor. So we should be good by lowering it. I get all these nuts put back on, and that's it. This thing is ready to rip tomorrow. So I'm going to start charging up some batteries. I'm going to get my Limitless GT up here, and we're going to give it a once over, get some batteries put into that. My plans are to take out the twin motor, to take out the Thunder truck, take out the both felonies, which is if Arrma built it, orange felony, and then my twin motor felony, and then Limitless GT. So we are going to have a line of cars. Also, Limit Do is going to be out there, and Sunny D is going to be out there tomorrow on Sunday. So it's going to be a full day of just ripping up and down my road, my speed road. So bringing out the ladder, and we're really going to give some rips. So plan is to possibly run my twin motor against Sunny D, and we'll see how that goes. But finally got this build is all complete until we get a receiver. That's the only other thing I plan on changing, but I should be able to test it with that remote and we should be fine. So there you go, guys. Like, comment, subscribe, and we will see you guys on my next video. Let me see. Does this still have to push forward? Yeah. There we go. Good old Thunder truck, ready to rip.